Morning, I'm Roger Hammond with Midland Power Cooperative. I'm here with Bill McAnally, our Touchstone Energy Advisor. One of the baselines that we talk about with new home construction is site selection, the importance of site selection and all the things that enter into selecting a proper site. Bill, tell us a little bit more about your thoughts on site selection.
Well, I think one of the biggest things you have to remember when you're picking out a site is this an area you may want to live in? It may be in the country, it may be in town. A lot of times people will move, say, from being close together inside, a small town or a large community, and then you move out in the country, and some people just don't feel comfortable, with the large spaces. So you got to make sure that you're going to be okay to be out in the country, or maybe or in town, moving from country into town. You also really want to think about, okay, what kind of services do I have? Who supplies my power? What about fire? What about law enforcement? In such communities, like smaller communities like this out in the country, who handles the snow? That's a big thing to think about. A little late when it's the first day of a heavy snow. Who's going to be shoveling, or plowing the roads? Things like that. But there's also that issue is which one do we buy first? The set of plans, or do we buy the lot? If you have the plans first, then you're kind of limited to what direction maybe the lot is, how the lot sits, what out behind. If you're going to have a deck on the house, what's out behind? Is this something you want to look at? So a lot of people will buy the lot first, and then they'll take the features of the house that they like and then incorporate them into a house plan to fit that lot. So when we look at the property, probably the biggest thing, especially in Iowa, is what about the water drainage? Do we want to hear that sump pump running all the time? Do we want to be able to find maybe a lot that slopes away from where the house is, and then the water can just naturally flow through tile, or maybe through the use of swales, indentations in the yard around the house to direct the water away? We also want to think about the neighbors. Are they higher? Are they lower? Is this the last lot in a subdivision, let's say, and why is it the last lot? Are there easements? Is there an area of your lot where you maybe like to put a garden, but then you find out later that maybe a power company or utility company or someone has an easement, which would be the ability to any time come through that property and work on their equipment. And so you really can't, really use that. What about the possibility of the trees around you? Maybe they're very mature. Maybe they're very healthy. If you pick a lot that has a lot of trees, if they're very mature trees, are they going to die off in a few years and you lose all that shade? There's a lot of little things. So you really want to spend a lot of time researching the lot, researching the location, and when you get down to, this is where I want to be, then you really want to start thinking too is, what kind of rules and regulations am I under? When you're in a small community, a lot of times there's a process like they call covenants, which means that you may not be able to, say, park your camper outside. You may not be able to let a dog run. You may not even be able to put fences up. And if you do put fences, maybe they have to be black chain link. I mean, there's a lot of restrictions. So when you're picking a lot, you really want to do your research and make a long list of things that you want to check off. And then when you think you really like that lot, go around and try to meet some of the neighbors, because the last thing you want to do is move somewhere. You've got a beautiful house, beautiful lot, and maybe the neighborhood isn't what you thought it was.
Sure. I would think that possibly you might even want to go a step further. A lot of people work from the home these days with technology and whatnot. So I would guess you would want to research, your cable services and internet services and all those other utilities and entities that go along with that as well.
That's exactly right, because there are still a lot of dead spots in Iowa, and let's say you do want to work from home, and then, okay, what's this going to cost me per month?
Well, thanks a lot, Bill. As always, we're always looking for more information. Site selection, I believe, is probably the first step we need to take in building a new home. So if you need more information on site selection, please feel free to call your Touchstone Energy Cooperative